So I think that most people can recognize that skinny people can be unhealthy. But the way that we often talk about weight and its relationship to health often implies that that's not the case. What I mean by this is that weight loss in popular culture and in the mainstream is often seen as an overwhelmingly positive thing. There are always articles about how to lose weight. People compliment each other when they lose weight.
You know, while those are all true statements, I think you're really missing probably one of the most important aspects of those statements, and that's the context of where they come from. In America, I don't really know so much about the other western parts of the world, but I can assume, certainly, that there is an epidemic of really overweight, fat, and unhealthy people. And because you can consistently see that a lot of people are overweight, and a lot of people are dealing with health issues because of the fact that they have too much weight on them, you can begin to see and understand why people are saying, or why people complimenting you. Actually, here's something I completely neglected. Whenever you do put in effort to lose weight, it takes effort to do so. You have to try. It's a conscious effort. Usually, not always. So because people recognize that, one, there's a huge problem with being overweight in America, and I would imagine also in Canada too, and two, because people realize it takes a great degree of effort to lose weight, they compliment you because they think you're doing a positive thing in your life that takes effort. That's why they get a bunch of compliments, and that's why there are a bunch of articles saying how to lose weight, because being overweight causes a lot of issues in your life. And it just makes living life a lot more difficult than if you were thin. And I just mean from a physical, moving, functioning kind of way,
A lot of people think it's a compliment when you haven't seen someone in a long time and you say, oh wow, you look great, have you lost weight?
If it was the person's intention to lose weight, then yeah, it is a compliment. It's an acknowledgement of the difficulties it was to lose the weight that they have. So I mean, yeah, that's why. You're missing context here.
Weight loss isn't always good, and it isn't always bad either.
Yeah, it's all based on context. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying that word a lot today.
It's complicated. And in a similar vein, the relationship between weight and health is very complicated. But a lot of the time, people act like they're directly related, like the lower your weight gets, the better your health gets.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, that is exactly the case. Well, I mean, again, it depends on the context. I mean, it's entirely possible that you have anorexic and bulimic people who are losing weight way too fast or too much, or just don't have enough muscle mass in order to just, function and, be. And those people have an eating disorder, and we acknowledge they have an eating disorder. So, I mean, a lot of people understand that obviously losing too much weight too fast is a bad thing, especially because of dehydration. This is a huge issue that happens in wrestling and mixed martial arts competitions, and I think boxing as well, when you have to cut weight really fast by just not eating or drinking anything up to the time where you have to weigh in. I mean, people acknowledge that you can lose weight too fast. However, if you're losing weight and building muscle at the same time, well, that's complicated. I'll explain why, maybe in the comment section. But I mean, if you're actually exercising and making a difference in your life and changing the way you eat and diet, people will find that as a compliment, because you're not only getting stronger, but your body is getting healthier, and you're going to have an easier time living life, and it takes effort. When you add in that context, it changes the meaning of what you're saying. It changes why people are saying these things. I mean, come on, you're not obtuse, Riley, Justin. I know you're not.
That's just not true. There are unhealthy skinny people, there are healthy fat people, and I'm firmly of the belief that nobody owes you information about their health. You don't get to go up to strangers and demand that they be healthier. That's none of your business.
Yeah, but most people really don't do that. Okay, you'll say, well, but on the internet, people tell fat people to lose weight all the time. Well, that's true, but people on the internet tell people to go jump off buildings and die, too. And you don't really take that into consideration now, do you? Wait, do you? Because you shouldn't if you do.
I still want to break down some of the myths about health and weight. I just also want to recognize that nobody owes you that information about their health, and you shouldn't be making snap judgments about strangers' health anyway.
Nah, if you want to make more people with them, that's exactly why your brain does what it does. Seriously. I am not joking. The reason why you make snap judgments on whether you think someone's healthy or attractive or not is because your body wants to make more people with them. You may not want to raise those people, but that's why it does that.
Basically, everyone's body is different. I don't think that's a controversial idea. And everybody's body has a different equilibrium. It has a different place where it's happy. And for some people, their body is happiest and healthiest when they're skinny. And for other people, their body is happiest and healthiest when they're fat. Now, the thing that I always run into when I say that is that someone jumps up in the comments and is like, what about morbidly obese people? First of all, I don't really like that terminology.
Tough. It really doesn't matter if you like it or don't like it. I mean, the fact remains, if it actually describes someone who is morbidly obese, as in so obese that it's threatening their life, then that's just the accurate term. It doesn't really matter if you don't like it or not.
Also, a lot of the shaming that happens to people who are just fat or maybe just a little bit bigger than normal. But the thing is that both of the extremes are equally unhealthy. Like if you get super overweight or super underweight, both of those are going to have very bad health outcomes.
Yeah, and like most people already acknowledge that, and they don't really need you to tell them this. Okay, well maybe a young adult might need to tell you. I mean, like, who's your target audience? Your target audience, like, really young people that, like, don't understand the complexities of the world? Because most people would have already understood this concept, that it's possible to be underweight, and it's possible to be overweight, especially depending on how tall or how short you are, especially depending on how much body fat percentage or how much muscle mass you have. Like, people already know and understand this. And maybe they not understand to a complex enough degree to really understand the intricacies of, you know, body fat percentage and height and weight and how it makes your body look and feel. But they at least understand that it's possible to be underweight and overweight. I mean, we've all passed the 5th grade.
And yet, in our culture, we still continue to universally praise weight loss and universally hate on weight gain.
This is why people praise weight loss is from fat people, because they put some effort into it. That's why. That's why.
You know about the BMI, the body mass index. We've known that it's a pretty bad indicator of health for a long time now.
You know what? Honestly, I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to argue with you about whether or not the BMI is good or bad. It's mostly irrelevant to me, to take honest truth.
To an article down below about that, but I don't think it's a very controversial thing at this point to say that BMI is not a good indicator of health. Like, for me personally, I have a very low BMI, and it's been very low for my entire life, whether I was healthy or unhealthy. There have been times when I was very unhealthy, when I was eating junk food and not exercising, and I was still skinny. Everybody's body works differently, and your metabolism, your hormones, there's so many different factors that play into what your BMI is. So for me, my body tends to stay at the same weight, whether I'm not exercising and eating bad, or if I'm exercising a ton and eating as well as I can.
And something that a lot of people don't understand, including myself actually, is the fact that a lot of your daily activities really do indeed contribute to what's going on in your body without you even realizing it. I'll tell you this, when I was younger, I used to have to walk to the bus stop, and the bus stop was about half a mile from where my house was, right? So every day I'd walk to the bus stop to go to school, and then I'd walk half mile back after school. So I was literally like walking the equivalent of a mile every single day, sometimes in the heat of the summer. You know, so I mean, I was consistently walking a whole bunch growing up. There was a point when I was like 16, 17, where what I would do was I would, again, walk the half a mile to the bus, and then I would have to ride the bus to my school, and then I have to walk like another mile and a half to get to the campus I went to. I was in early college, so I was able to go to college classes while I was in high school, and I had to walk up there from the school, which again was literally, and I clocked it, a mile and a half. So then what I had to do was I had to walk back to my high school in order to catch the bus again, to walk home again. So when you factor all that in together, there's a mile and a half, so that's 3 miles. That's 4 miles. So I was literally walking 4 miles a day, the equivalent of, not back to back, but the equivalent of throughout the course of the day. So in my mind, I used to think that I just had a super fast metabolism and everything was fine. I used to eat whatever the hell I wanted. But in reality, I was burning those calories, or I was using that energy consistently because I was always walking around. And I never stopped and realized that that's what I was doing until I started gaining a whole bunch of weight when I became really sloppy and just started. When I went to college, I didn't exercise the way I did, you know, and so I ended up gaining like a fuck ton of weight, like literally like 30 pounds. Like, that's not even a joke. So yeah, I mean, that's why. That's what happened. It wasn't so much my metabolism was fast. I just didn't realize just the impact that my daily activities had on what I was doing. So I mean, yes, every body is different, but the fact remains that it's usually the effort that you're putting into it to some degree that keeps you skinny when you eat junk food. There's usually some type of balance there, is the point of my anecdote.
Done a video on this before, but there's a lot of evidence that the biggest factor in your weight is actually just your metabolism and how your body functions, and that exercise affects a very small portion of your overall weight.
Now, Justin is right here. For the most part, exercise really does not help all that much when it comes to weight loss, which is counterintuitive to a lot of people, but I'll explain why. What exercise does is it builds your muscles, and because your muscles require more calories and more energy to maintain, it ends up taking the fuel from the fat cells. You don't ever actually convert fat into muscle. I mean, I used to think that when I was a kid until I looked into it. But what really happens is the more muscle that you have, it requires more energy in order to, like, maintain, let alone use. And so your body decides to start going into the fat reserves, which is its entire purpose, and starts using that as energy and starts burning that for fuel. I mean, well, kind of literally, but not really literally burning it. But I think a lot of people know biology, at least to this degree, or at least I hope so. So Justin is right. When it really comes to exercising, it's not really, it's the muscle gain that comes that comes from exercising that helps you lose weight, which actually would interestingly actually help you gain weight because muscle weighs a lot more than fat anyway. So yeah, he's right. Exercise isn't really the trick when it comes to losing weight. It's really your diet and the things that you're eating and the amount of sugar that you're putting into your body. So.
Yes, sometimes exercise can lead to weight loss or weight gain, depending on if you're losing fat or gaining muscle. But in the overall like percentages of how your body is gaining or losing weight, exercise is a very small portion. So like maybe you can affect it, but you're affecting a very small portion of it. So for some people, losing weight is going to be a lot easier than for other people, just because their body responds differently to food and to exercise and metabolism. And just like there can be skinny, unhealthy people, there can be healthy, fat people. So,
I mean, not really. Like, what's really going on is you can have healthy fat people in the sense that they have really strong hearts, and that their body isn't really detrimented too much by the fact that they have a bunch of fat on them. But the mere fact that their body is carrying on that fat means that their body isn't using the energy and your body isn't doing anything with it. I mean, I've seen stories of this one fat guy who was a runner, and he was really freaking strong and competed in marathons. But no matter what he did, the exercise wasn't helping him lose weight. And that's because he wasn't building muscle. He was a long-distance runner. He was building up his endurance. That's why he wasn't losing weight. So he had an incredibly strong heart, but because he wasn't building any muscle and he wasn't using the energy that was the fat reserves had, he wasn't going to lose any weight. And it took me a couple of years to figure out why that was the case and why this fat long-distance runner stayed fat, but that's why. You can have a really strong heart, and I guess you can consider that to be healthy, but there are still other problems that occur from being overweight and being fat that Justin seems to be ignoring here.
some people's healthy BMI is just higher than others. People are diverse and their bodies are diverse, and there's not going to be one single BMI that's the healthiest for everybody. Lots of people are healthy at a higher weight. I've known people who exercised way more than me, ate way healthier than me, and they still had a higher BMI than me. They still weighed more than me. And
that would be totally reasonable, considering the fact that they'd have more muscle mass than you. I mean, it's not a stretch of the imagination.
That's just how it's gonna work for some people. But the thing that I'm really getting at here is, like, you don't get to shame someone for their health.
You know, I think, that's not even I think, I completely understand that this is the crux of your video here, Justin, but the problem here is, the fact is, I understand that you don't think it's right or nice to make fun of people for being fat, and I totally understand that. However, I don't think then that it's reasonable to try to peddle stuff that just isn't true. Vast majority of people who are overweight are unhealthy, and it's not reasonable to tell these people that they're not unhealthy just so you want other people to stop making fun of them. I mean, you should just lead the video with, you shouldn't make fun of people who are fat, because maybe they're trying, and maybe there's something wrong with them. Maybe they need to do something different. I mean, who knows? I mean, I can understand that, but to sit here and say that being fat doesn't mean that you aren't unhealthy, I mean, for the vast majority of people, that's exactly what it means. And saying or bringing up a few examples of fat people who are healthy isn't enough to change the fucking established fact that being fat is unhealthy for the vast majority of people.
If you look at a fat person and you think that they're unhealthy, and therefore that gives you justification in shaming them or making fun of them or whatever, for one, you're just wrong. It's not an indicator of their health.
Well, actually, you're wrong. It may not be an accurate indicator of their health. Like, I'm probably never going to see a fat person and then be like, oh, that guy has diabetes or that guy has heart disease, But I mean, it is an indicator of this person's lifestyle and the choices that they make, or it's an indication that there's something wrong with their body. Hell, if you're a person, you're going to tell me that maybe someone is overweight because they have a thyroid issue. Well, then them being overweight would be an indication of their health.
But also, you're just being mean. There's been studies that show that fat shaming someone doesn't help them lose weight.
I completely acknowledge that it doesn't help everyone lose weight. It probably doesn't help the vast majority of people lose weight, because lots of people don't like being shamed or don't like having their feelings hurt. However, I mean, so-called fat shaming can help some people lose weight. Do I think it's the best method personally? No. But I mean, I'm not going to completely dismiss it outright. It does help some people. It is encouraging to some people.
Very obvious that when you do that, you're not intending to help the person. You just want to feel better about yourself by putting someone else down.
I don't know, if that fat person is your sister, your brother, your child, or uncle, I think maybe it is a little bit of your business. Your friend. I mean, if you supposedly care about these individuals, I think it would make total sense that you would try to help them. I would imagine that that's what someone who loves another person would do. And yeah, I know I sound snarky and a little upset because I honestly understand what you're trying to do here, Justin. Like, I really do get it. But I don't think your approach makes any sense or is reasonable. I don't think it's reasonable to say don't make fun of fat people because not all fat people are unhealthy, when the vast majority of the cases, a lot of fat people are unhealthy, and that's why people are saying these things and trying to help them. I mean, I guess the old saying, you know, the road to hell is often paved with good intentions, is kind of completely describes this video you're making.
And even if a fat person is unhealthy, it's still none of your business. People just don't make fun of skinny people in public the way they do fat people.
Nigga, did you go to high school? Yes, people do. I remember there's this one girl I went to high school with, and me and my friends just get on her ass all the fucking time. All of the goddamn time. I remember some of the jokes we used to make about her. And I mean, she was an alright girl. I mean, we were more acquaintances than friends. But she was this really skinny girl that we made fun of because she was really fucking skinny. And I guess I don't really know if it bothered her all too much. I mean, I don't think it did. But I mean, we did it. So I mean, no, that's bullshit. People absolutely do make fun of really skinny people. Maybe not as much or as loudly as fat people, but I mean, the shit does happen. Hell, when I was really skinny back in the day, people used to make fun of me for being a small shrimp all the fucking time. So it's not true. It's just not true. It's not true.
If those skinny people are unhealthy. Like, I was never mocked for my weight when I wasn't eating well and not exercising.
When I was a kid, I was. Not really so much as a teenager.
Meanwhile, people would make fun of people who weighed much more than me but were much healthier than me. And it's just frustrating because you don't need to do that. So just stop it. Stop having fake concern for other people's health and stop making fun of people because they're fat.
Again, Justin, I think I mostly agree with your overall message that you shouldn't just go around making fun of people. I mean, you can't really stop that, and honestly, if you have the wherewithal to resist it, it really doesn't matter if someone makes fun of you. However, again, I don't think that the solution is to tell these people that being overweight does not mean that it isn't a detriment to their body, because most of the time, it is. Yeah, sure, you might have an audience member who fits the margin, that they have a healthy heart, or, you know, actually has some good bit of muscle under their fat. But the vast majority of people aren't like that. The vast majority of people aren't exercising, and they aren't trying to lose weight, and they aren't dealing with the fact that they have a bunch of fat on them. And I don't think it's reasonable to tell them that they shouldn't worry about that shit because you don't think that they should be made fun of. I mean, if anything, you should be explaining to them that they should gain the wherewithal to resist the bullshit from other people, not telling them that they're totally fine the way they are when they're not.
Because for one, their health is none of your business, and two, being fat doesn't mean being unhealthy. Like, honestly, I've met some very unhealthy, skinny people who will, like, smoke all day and drink all night and eat poorly and not exercise, and then they'll look at, like, an athlete who's, like, a little bit bigger and make fun of them. Like, that just makes no sense to me. Like, no one's on this high horse of being the healthiest person in the world.
Yeah, Justin, those people are, like, totally on some other shit. And those people can go off to a corner and, like, I don't know, go smoke and drink and do whatever the hell they want. They're on some other shit. However, that doesn't change the vast majority of the cases where being overweight's not a good thing. It just doesn't.
We all do stuff that isn't perfectly healthy all the time. We don't even understand what it means to be healthy. Health and nutrition is a very complicated field that even the experts in those fields haven't figured out fully yet. So yeah, the moral of the story is just don't make fun of fat people. Whoa, controversial idea. Maybe we shouldn't be needlessly mean to people. I know, wild. What a concept, right?
Yeah, again, I understand your overall message, Justin. Like, I really do, and I get it, and I mostly co-sign with it. I just cannot co-sign, however, with telling these people that they're fine when they probably aren't. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of people who are overweight can stand to lose weight. Of course, in a healthy manner, and of course with encouragement. But if your main message is don't make fun of people, then I think it makes more sense to teach these people to gain the wherewithal to not have their feelings hurt by the comments of individuals on the internet than it is to tell these people that they're fine when they're not. So that being said, man, I certainly hope you guys got something out of today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Next, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.